He lost money for 20 years straight. Wall Street hated him. Analysts called him reckless. Shareholders threatened to pull out every single quarter. The numbers came back the same. But here's what nobody understood at the time, and what most people still get wrong today. He wasn't failing. He was building. His name is Jeff Bezos. And the story of how he turned a money-losing bookstore into the backbone of the modern internet is not a story about luck. It's not a story about timing. It's a story about one man who decided to play a completely different game, while everyone else was watching the scoreboard. Let's go back to 1994. Jeff Bezos is 30 years old. He has a prestigious job on Wall Street at D. Shaw, one of the most respected hedge funds in the world. He manages a team. He earns a salary that most people his age would never see in their lifetime. He has a future that looks, by every conventional measure, perfect. And one afternoon he reads a single statistic that changes everything. Internet usage is growing at 2,300% per year. He stares at that number. He reads it again. He prints it out. 2,300%. He doesn't celebrate. He doesn't call his friends. He opens a spreadsheet and starts listing every product category that could be sold online at scale. He narrows 20 candidates down to 5. He narrows 5 down to 1. Books. Not because Bezos loves books more than anything else in the world. Because books are the perfect strategic wedge. There are 3 million titles in print at any given time. No physical bookstore on earth can carry more than 100,000. The gap between supply and demand is enormous, and entirely geographic. A bookstore in Seattle can't sell you a book that's only stocked in New York, but a website can sell you any book that exists, from anywhere to anywhere. He quits his job. His boss walks him through Central Park and tries to talk him out of it. He says the idea is interesting but risky. He says that people with good jobs at good firms don't leave to sell books on the internet. Bezos tells him he'll think about it for 48 hours. 48 hours later, he quits. He and his wife Mackenzie pack everything into a car and drive across the country to Seattle. Mackenzie drives. Jeff writes the business plan from the passenger seat, on a laptop, somewhere in the middle of America. They set up in a garage in Bellevue. He buys 3 Sun workstations and builds the first version of the website himself. He installs a bell on the computer so it rings every time someone places an order. In the first few weeks the bell rings so often they have to turn it off. Amazon launches in July 1995. Within 30 days, it is shipping books to all 50 states and to 45 countries. Within 60 days, Bezos is telling reporters that his goal is to become the biggest bookstore on earth. It looks like a clean startup success story, but something is already fundamentally different about the way Bezos is running this company. Something that nobody outside the building has fully noticed yet. He's not trying to make money. Not this year, not next year, not anytime soon. He is spending every dollar Amazon makes, and then borrowing more to spend on top of it. Warehouses in multiple states, technology teams, server farms, logistics infrastructure, distribution networks, things that don't show up as revenue, things that show up as costs. Enormous, uncomfortable, hard to explain costs. His investors are nervous. His board asks pointed questions. The financial press starts calling him a dreamer. A handful of analysts issue sell recommendations. Bezos smiles. He has a plan. The plan is simple and almost no one around him believes it. Build the infrastructure first, worry about the profit later. Make Amazon so deeply embedded in the daily habits of customers, so fast, so cheap, so reliable, that leaving it becomes genuinely painful. And then, once that foundation is in place, the money will come, not in a trickle, in a flood. In 1997, Amazon goes public, and Bezos does something almost unheard of in the history of American business. He writes a letter to his shareholders. Not a celebration of the IPO, not a promise of returns. A letter explaining, clearly, directly, without a single apology, that Amazon will not be optimizing for short-term profit. Not now, not next year, not ever, he writes. It's all about the long term. It tells them that every decision Amazon makes will be evaluated not by what it does to this quarter's numbers, but by what it does to the company's position 5, 10, 20 years from now. He tells shareholders that if they disagree with this philosophy, if they need returns measured in months, they should sell their shares now, before disappointment sets in. Most companies say things like this. Every earnings call, every annual report, every CEO repeats some version of, "We're investing in the future." And then, when the stock drops 5% after a bad quarter, they cut costs, fire engineers, shrink their ambitions. Bezos doesn't do this. Not once. Not when the losses deepen. Not when the press turns hostile. Not when the shareholders call. The strategy stays exactly the same. Every dollar that Amazon earns gets fed back into growth. Every quarter of losses gets defended with the same patient explanation. We are building something. The dot-com bubble bursts in 2000. Amazon's stock drops from $113 to $6, 90% gone. Everyone is certain this is the end. Competitors are shutting down by the dozens. The narrative around internet companies collapses overnight. Investors who once threw money at anything with a website are now refusing to fund anything at all. And here is what Bezos is doing while the world collapses around him. He is hiring engineers. He is expanding the fulfillment network. He is adding new product categories, electronics, toys, tools, to a platform that was supposed to be just books. He is not retreating. He is accelerating. Because Bezos understands something about downturns that most executives completely miss. When a bubble bursts, the weak companies disappear. The infrastructure they were building gets abandoned. The talent they were paying scatters. And whoever is still standing gets to absorb all of it. The customers, the engineers, the market share, at a fraction of the cost. A crisis isn't just a problem. It's a clearance sale. Bezos keeps building. By 2002, Amazon has survived the crash. It is not thriving yet in the way Wall Street wants, but it is alive, and most of its competitors are graves. And then Bezos starts noticing something strange inside his own company. The technology Amazon has been forced to build to run its own operations. The servers, the databases, the storage systems, the computing infrastructure. It is extraordinary. It operates at a scale that almost no other company in the world has ever needed to match. Because Amazon grew so fast, in so many directions, that it had to build systems capable of handling complexity that simply didn't exist elsewhere. And one afternoon, someone on the team says something that changes the direction of the entire company. Other businesses need this. They need reliable servers. They need scalable databases. They need computing power that they can rent by the hour instead of buying and building themselves. Every startup in the world is spending enormous amounts of time and money reinventing infrastructure that Amazon has already perfected. What if Amazon rented it to them? Bezos recognizes the idea immediately. This is not a side project. This is a second company hiding inside the first one. In 2006, Amazon launches Amazon Web Services, a product so far outside what people thought Amazon was that most analysts dismiss it as a distraction. A bookstore renting computers to businesses. Absurd. It isn't absurd. This is the part that changes how you think about money. The game was never about working harder. It was about understanding the system and building leverage inside it. That's what the financial restart system teaches. Not how to grind more. How to build the foundation that works while you sleep. The difference between Bezos and everyone else wasn't effort, it was structure. Get the book link in the description. And if you want to go deeper, check the pinned comment below. AWS becomes the single most profitable division in Amazon's history. Today it generates more operating income than all of Amazon's retail operations combined. It powers Netflix. It powers Airbnb. It powers the Central Intelligence Agency. It powers NASA. It powers more than 30% of all internet traffic on Earth. It is, quietly and almost invisibly, the infrastructure of the modern world. And it exists only because Jeff Bezos spent 10 years losing money to build technology that would eventually create it. The retail losses weren't accidents, they were the price of admission. Here is what Bezos understood that Wall Street never did. Profit is a photograph. It shows you exactly where you are right now. It is accurate, it is precise, and it tells you almost nothing about the future. Infrastructure is a map, shows you where you can go, and it shows you, just as importantly, where everyone else cannot go. Bezos was always reading the map. While competitors were celebrating quarterly profits and distributing dividends, Amazon was digging tunnels under the entire economy. Fulfillment centers in every major metropolitan area, same-day delivery networks, a logistics operation so large and so precise that it rivals the capabilities of national postal services, a technology layer so deeply embedded in the internet that removing it would require rebuilding the web from scratch. Every year of losses was a year of digging. Every quarterly earnings report that made shareholders flinch was a shovel going deeper into the earth. By the time Amazon turned consistently profitable, around 2016, more than 2 decades after it launched, the tunnels were everywhere, the infrastructure was complete, and any competitor who wanted to challenge Amazon would have to spend a generation and hundreds of billions of dollars just to reach the starting line. The moat wasn't a brand, wasn't a logo, it wasn't customer loyalty. Exactly, it was time. Irreplaceable, undefeatable time. And Bezos had purchased 20 years of it by being willing to look like he was losing when he was actually winning. There is a question that Bezos has been asked hundreds of times over the years. How did you build Amazon? And every version of his answer comes back to the same 3 words. Start with the customer, not the product, not the profit margin, not the quarterly projection, the customer. What does the customer actually want? And the answer was always the same. More selection, lower prices, faster delivery. Those 3 things are, on their surface, financially catastrophic to pursue simultaneously. More selection requires more inventory, more warehouse space, more complexity. Lower prices require lower margins. Faster delivery requires more logistics infrastructure, more vehicles, more people, more technology. Every business school in the world teaches you not to chase all 3 at once. Pick 1, pick 2 at most. You cannot sustain all 3 together. Bezos chased all 3 at once, for 20 years. at enormous cost, because he understood a truth that most businesses never grasp. If a company can become genuinely irreplaceable to a customer, not just convenient, but irreplaceable, then the customer habit itself becomes the most durable competitive advantage that exists. More durable than patents, more durable than pricing, more durable than any product feature. Habit. He built the habit first. He let the profit follow. He was right. Today, Amazon is worth more than $1.5 trillion. It employs over 1.5 million people. It delivers more packages to American homes than the United States Postal Service. It runs the largest cloud computing platform on Earth. It produces original films and television series. It owns Whole Foods. It operates one of the largest digital advertising businesses in the world. It manufactures its own hardware, the Kindle, the Echo, the Ring, and puts that hardware in the homes of hundreds of millions of people. None of this was accidental. None of it was lucky. Every single piece traces back to a decision made in a garage in Bellevue in 1995. The decision to measure success in decades instead of quarters. Jeff Bezos stepped down as Amazon's CEO in 2021. He handed the company to Andy Jassy, the man who built AWS, and returned to the projects that had always lived in the background of his ambition. Blue Origin, his aerospace company, working toward commercial space travel. Large-scale philanthropy, the quiet, patient pursuit of what comes after Amazon. On his final day as CEO, he wrote one last letter. In it, he returned to an idea he had been repeating since the earliest days of the company. He called it Day One thinking, the belief that no matter how large, how successful, how dominant a company becomes, it must always operate as if it were on its very first day, still building, still hungry, still willing to sacrifice short-term comfort for long-term position. Day 2, he wrote, is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating, painful decline, followed by death. He had been saying this since 1997. He never stopped believing it. 20 years of losses. One man with a spreadsheet and a plan that nobody else could read. The stock that analysts begged people to sell in 2001 is worth today several thousand times what it was at the bottom of the crash. The company that lost money for 20 years is now one of the most profitable enterprises in human history. And the lesson, the real lesson, isn't about Amazon. It isn't about retail or technology or the cloud or same-day delivery. It's about the difference between playing to win today and playing to win the game. Most people play to win today. Jeff Bezos played to win the game. That is the whole story.